Hello, fellow colleagues. This is a review of the ePortfolios workshop. So this is primarily a review, but for those of you who are listening to this for the first time, please let me know if you have any questions or in need of a brainstorming session on what to do or how to do something. I would love to help out in any way that I can. So what are ePortfolios? They're essentially your writing portfolio. Now, back in the day, we used these really bulky binders to collect all these pieces of paper and use tabs, and we had to carry them everywhere and remember to bring them with us wherever we went, and hoping we didn't forget one behind here and there. And they were heavy and bulky and they took up space. And so an ePortfolio basically takes that bulky portfolio and converts it into the cloud that's accessible anytime, anywhere. It's taking those writing documents and putting them online somewhere that could be easily accessed by any number of people. And so the theoretical rationale behind ePortfolios is the theory of self-regulated learning by Zimmerman and Schunk, and I totally geeked out on this when I started looking at all the different graphic images that explain ePortfolios. And I got really excited because I love self-regulated learning and I love implementing it within the classroom, and this just seems the easiest way to do that and to help students learn how to self-regulate their learning. And so now at this point you're probably thinking, what is self-regulated learning? Well, it's the idea that students who plan, monitor, and evaluate their work succeed far better than students who don't. And so when it comes to their ePortfolio, students should plan or strategize their short-term goals with their end result long-term goal in mind. The idea of what are they going to do and how are they going to get there with any given writing task. So it's not necessarily how long do they plan or strategize for, it's just the idea that they do it, that they're conscious about their process. And this is done once at the beginning. Then as they are within the realm of writing, students monitor and revise their work. They change things up. And this happens in two different areas. So the first obvious one is that they revise and edit their actual document. They're conscious of what needs to be done to improve. The other way that this is done is that students monitor their short-term goals. Do they need to change their plan of attack, so to speak, to end their, or to get to their end results? And what do those changes look like? What do they need to be? So that can happen any number of times. After their writing document is submitted, students then self-evaluate. They reflect on their writing document itself in terms of their strengths and weaknesses. Where did they feel like they needed to improve upon? What did they think was their best? Whatever that is, to evaluate their document. The other way that they evaluate themselves and reflect is for the future. What can they do to improve on future documents? Where do they see themselves struggling that they need to improve on their writing? So for instance, on my next document, I would like to improve on my transitions. Transitional words between sentences, transitional phrases between paragraphs, whatever it is. Or the use of complex sentences, or the use of active verbs versus passive, whatever they need to do. So it really gets them critically thinking about their writing process. So where can you publish ePortfolios? I have three different areas, three different ideas for you. The first is Google Drive. And the reason why I'm saying this is because we're a Google school and we use Google Drive quite often. And so with all the additional storage that Google just has given us, why not use Google Drive for ePortfolios? It's an easy way to upload materials and share them with your students. And by materials, I mean their PMEs, their forms, or their rubrics, or the directions for the writing task itself, whatever it may be. It's an easy way to share. Another great way to distribute materials is through a script called Doctopus. And I'm just tossing that out there in case anyone's interested in looking it up and working with it, but it's definitely something that deserves its own time and space, and so I won't get into Doctopus here. Again, for organizational purposes, Google Drive is really great and user-friendly for creating folders with subfolders. It's stored in the cloud, so it doesn't take up any space on the computer itself, and it's accessible anytime, anywhere. The one caveat that I do want to emphasize within Google Drive is that it's really limited access in terms of who gets to see the work, the student's work. And so the student has to choose who to share their portfolio with. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is that one underlying notion of ePortfolios is that it should open up students writing to a greater population for feedback purposes. Now, I'm not saying that everybody in the whole wide world has to see this ePortfolio, but it should be a greater number of people than just the teacher, because for feedback, we want more than one set of eyes. We don't want the teacher taking on 100% of the responsibility of improving one student's work. Let's get other people collaborating on this, like peers, like parents, other outside sources. But I'll talk about feedback in just a little bit. So here's one idea on where to publish. Another idea is Google Sites. It's a free website. Again, it's accessible anytime, anywhere, and it's actually accessible by a larger population, so it does increase the potential for feedback. And it's really user-friendly to set up. It's organized. It can be organized. It allows students to personalize their work a bit more, add their favorite quotes or their mottos. It allows them to maybe even attach a blog that can keep a running log of their writing process. So lots of great potential with Google Sites and ePortfolios. A third idea that I have is using Livebinders, and if you go to livebinders.com and peruse that site, you will find a great deal of ePortfolios published. And to give you an image of what Livebinders are, if you just imagine your regular 1-inch, 1.5, 2-inch binder, hardcover binder or softcover binder, whatever binder, and you just convert it to online. So it's got the tabs, it's got its separate shelves or whatever they call it on there. But you can basically have your binder online. And if you take a look at different examples, I specifically chose examples from an English 9 honors course. I don't know where it was from, but it's not from us. And they've got great examples of what English 9 honors ePortfolios look like. And the reason why I chose English 9 was just because I know that we're implementing the ePortfolios full on with the incoming 9th grade class. I'm sure that it's really easy to find other grade levels on there, but this could definitely lay a foundation. So how can you give feedback digitally? If you're not into Turnitin, and if you're not going to have your students use Turnitin for their ePortfolios, which is totally fine, there are other options for you. If you do use Turnitin as an option for providing feedback, just know you've got your 3-minute maximum audio that you can give audio feedback digitally, obviously. But if not, I would suggest trying out Screencast-O-Matic. It's a free download. You go to their website, you just position the box over the area that you're going to be commenting on, like a Word doc, and you have up to 15 minutes of audio time that you can record and provide feedback to students, and then you just email it off to them. The really cool thing about Screencast-O-Matic is that your cursor, it's a highlighted yellow circle, so it actually allows students to follow along with where you're talking about in the document. So that's really cool. Another option, if you're in Google Drive, you can use the app. It's an app, not a script, called MoveNote. And here you can provide audio and video feedback. So it's a combo. So you just want to be aware of what you're wearing, I suppose, when you're providing feedback. But the one thing here is that not only do you, the teacher, and whoever else is providing feedback have to have this app, but also the students. But again, it's really easy. It takes, maybe a minute to upload, not even. It's super easy. And so that's one way. And again, it's a great way for teachers and peers and parents to provide digital feedback. And I don't know about you, but I tend to talk out far more information in 3 to 5 minutes than I do handwriting it all out. So it's actually alleviated the amount of time that I spend on each paper, but yet I provide more feedback, which is incredible. And what's the Common Core alignment here? Well, in addition to all the other standards that will be met with each writing assignment, these two specific standards will 100% be met each time the ePortfolio is used, specifically because the PMEs cover the planning and revising of work in the 0.5 standard, and then in the 0.6 standard, the use of technology basically covers all ends here with ePortfolios. It's used to produce the work, to publish the work, to update the work, to get feedback on the work. It's any use of technology, so that's totally covered. And I really hope that this review has helped you, has reminded you of certain things, and I hope it's given you a better justification as to why ePortfolios are just truly amazing and easy to do and implement in class. Please let me know if you have any questions or if you need help with anything in terms of getting started on implementing ePortfolios in your own class. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.